So good morning, Bertha and Gerwil. Thank you for joining me and the rest of the world on this call. I have like 40 subscribers. But to start off, I wanted to thank you guys for talking about UWC, United World College, speaking about your experiences. So if you could just casually introduce yourselves, which year and where. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my media subscribers. I'm Bertha. I am currently an international relations and economics double major at Claremont McKenna College in California, and I studied at the United World College of Changshu, China from 2018 to 2020.
Good morning everyone. I am Uirab. I was a UWC Atlantic College student from 2011 until 2013, after which I went to the University of Pretoria, and I am a project officer at the Walvis Bay Corridor Group.
And then, I guess stepping back to 2012 and to 2018, how did you guys come across the opportunity? Where did someone recommend it to you? Did you just pop up in your WhatsApp group, etc.?
I first came to know about the UWC movement through a man called Alberto Ochmep, who is our ambassador to France. Many moons ago, he and my dad were at school together in the 80s and in the 70s and 80s, and he ended up going to UWC, to Atlantic College UWC that I went to as well. And many years later, they reconnected in the professional world, where they're both after university, they're both grown as professionals. And he was telling my father about his experience at UWC, and he advised my sister to apply in her year, and then advised me to apply in my year based on that he believed that we had the requisite UWC skill sets. So that's how I got to know about UWC at first.
So sort of he was just your family, your whole family is definitely going to UWC. Cool.
So how I got to know about UWC was actually through a WhatsApp group. So I remember, I think it was Julia Nampoya, she had added me to this group where it was just young women who were just sharing opportunities and doing things. So somebody had shared a picture of Rachel, I think Rachel Njulua, I think Njulua is her last name. And she was graduating behind this big, and in the picture there was this big banner that said UWC. And everybody said, "Oh, congratulations, Rachel." And in true Bertha fashion, I went to Google her and I was like, I found out how old she was. And I was like, what is she graduating from? She's so young. I want to graduate at 18 from whatever that is, or 17. So I found out about UWC, and then I became obsessed with Namibian UWCers, and I decided to apply. And the first time I had applied, I had gotten an offer to go to the UWC in Costa Rica. But my family said no. So I waited for the second year where I didn't need, parental permission, because I was 18 then. So I applied, and then I got in, and I signed my things, and then I went off to China.
Cool. And if it's not a weird question, why did your parents say no? Is it just because it was a non-traditional route, or because you're young?
Yeah, it was two main reasons. One, it's exactly because it was a non-traditional route. And it's very difficult to convince conservative Oshiwambo parents that you don't want the grade 12 matric certificate, and instead you want to pursue this, what to them just sounds like a liberal, youthful, naive scam. So it was that, but also because Costa Rica, they just didn't think was ideal. None of them are familiar with anything about Costa Rica. So I think even just the idea of otherness and how strange it felt to them, they just thought, okay, maybe not. So China was also a lot more, because it was new, because it was a lot more advanced and developed, it was also much easier for them to just come to terms with it at some point.
Yeah. No, similar experience. I applied for this thing called 10 Academy to Ghana in 2016, 2017? No? Oh, 2017. And then my parents were like, nope, you're not going. And I was like, but it's just I think it was only going to be a month or so, or 6 months or so. I said, belief, allow me freedom, you know. And by then I was like 23 or so, but they were just like, no, but like that's deep Africa. And I'm like, oh, we are also Africa. Like, what is this like hesitance towards otherness? But it was just like a general fear of the unknown and like, who's been there? We don't know anyone there if something goes down, etc., etc. So understandable. What about like sort of things? I mean, this is obviously stuff that someone can Google, like eligibility wise. I did look at like, you should be in grade 11 or 12 in the year of your application, proven history of academic excellence, and then there's like obviously application essays and stuff. Are there any specific things that you felt in your cases particularly strengthened your application?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always a good student, A and B's generally. So obviously that was required. But being that I left Namibia in grade 9 to go to high school in South Africa, so I didn't do the usual Namibian grade 10 exams and had the same grading system as the rest of my co-years. UWC requires you to have a strong academic background because the IB diploma is a rigorous academic program. But what I think what strengthened my application was my diversity. I wasn't just an academic or a good student. I also had quite good extracurriculars. Class captain at school. I played 16A basketball, and I played commerce basketball team when I was still in Namibia in grade 8. And then also I played the national hockey team. So I was quite a sporty person. So that also helped that. And also, the leadership roles, captain of the basketball team. I was part of the in-grade SRC. So you had SRC for school, and then like within every grade you had 3 or 4 people that represented the grade. So I was part of that as well. So I think that's what built my application. It wasn't just purely my academics, but rather the fact that I was a multifaceted, multi-exposed student, and that really strengthened my application.
Yeah, makes all the sense. But obviously, like, you want like a well-rounded individual. It's not just like, I mean, in terms of like the extracurricular stuff that's also offered on the UWC program, they would obviously want someone that can adjust to that.
Yes, and also with that, because UWC, they have what they call the IB diploma. And you also get your college diploma, which is like the Atlantic College diploma, which requires you to do a certain amount of physical activity every week, a certain amount of cultural activities every week, a certain amount of service every week. That's in addition to your academic requirements. So if someone was able to balance all of that, obviously becomes a more appealing applicant.
Yeah, same as Gerwil. I think that was a crucial part is that extracurricular work, which was just a lot. So I think like Gerwil, they're usually attracted to the head girl, like a head girl, that like debate captain stuff, which makes sense. And that's primarily because the IB just academically already is very, very so just academically, the IB is very challenging. So when you pair that with having to do the creativity and the activity and the service that is required in order for you to graduate, it's a very intense and a very demanding program. So I think the reason they go for people who have, broad extracurricular profiles is because they need to see that you've already you're up to the challenge of constantly being in some kind of stressful situation. So for example, I constantly joke about how I learned how to work at UWC in China. That is to work without complaining, because every single hour of your day is accounted for, and by the time you get to bed you are exhausted. And that's the point. They literally work you to the bone. I mean, whether or not that's healthy, that's another conversation. But the point is, you're constantly being challenged 24/7, in spiritually, emotionally, physically. It's a lot. So I think also for your sake, national committees all over the world, or at least in Namibia, I know definitely, and a lot of my friends from UWC, national committees try to see an emphasis on how you're challenging yourself in your context. I know what was helpful for me is, so I was an Allen Gray scholar when I was here in Namibia, and I needed to be in the hostel as part of my scholarship. So what was happening there, for example, was that because I was in the hostel, I couldn't do as many things as a lot of my peers could outside of school. So I couldn't volunteer at like a local community center somewhere because I was constantly there. So I asked myself, okay, how can I still be active and still contribute something? So I did everything that I could. Obviously, there was a line with what I was interested in at school. And that was something that I made sure to highlight in my application, is to say, look, I understand that, my fellow applicants probably, but look at this, I'm in the hostel and this is what I'm doing. So I think also they look at, it's important, and also for you to highlight that in case someone misses that, to highlight what is your context and to say, look, I'm excellent even within that context. So I think, it was that, and also demonstrating that you are passionate about your community. Because why that's important as well, I think it's because UWC, there's no kind of legal obligation to go back and do anything particularly significant for the world. So I think they need some kind of guarantee to see that you're not just in it so that you can get into like a prestigious US university and then go off and be an investment banker and never do anything for your community ever again. So I think that's the only guarantee that they have. So they try to see what are you doing for your community now, and what place is it coming from. So those things are important. It's that well-roundedness that we just described, and then demonstrating that you care about giving back in some way.
Yeah, I was looking at like one of these scholarships, and basically their three criteria were sort of I suddenly can't remember the third one, but it was outwork, outcare, and out something else. But like basically just, we want to see how hardcore you are at working, but also at caring for your community and doing whatever you do. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the community aspect was of vital importance for UWC. Like with myself, I was part of Interact, and then also part of the youth, the church, the youth faculty, the youth committee at my school, which Christian fellowship, and then also with that you do a lot of volunteering work and along those lines. So it's very important. And also going back to the application process. Application process, you're limited to amount of pages where you are allowed to write. It's 1 or 2 pages essay, but you have to provide 3 essays: 1 by yourself, 1 by a community member, and 1 by a teacher. And then that's where you really get to shine. You have all 3 essays must speak of the same person, but they can all highlight different strengths of yours. Like with mine, I had my tutor and my English teacher, Mr. Jacka, write the 1 letter, and had a family friend who also professional in Namibia, write my community letter. So they were able to speak about, Mr. Jack could speak about my academic point of view, he could speak about my growth as a young man, as the way I carry myself, and also happened to be the head of the youth fellowship at our school. So he was able to speak about those aspects about me. Uncle Cosmos, who wrote on behalf of me, he could highlight my sporting abilities, because he had seen me grow from, a 5-year-old in the backyard kicking a ball, to taking me to national hockey trials and along the lines. And also he was also able to see how I relate to the seniors such as himself and the juniors such as his daughters, and the kids around. So he was able to bring out that human and sport aspect of mine. And then obviously with mine, I've also bring out myself. So you must also must be very strategic and very conscious about how you write your letter, so that different sides of you shine, but there must still be a uniform, holistic person that is brought in through all the letters together.
So this is you. You are 17, 18, whatever, grade 11 or 12?
16, 17. Yeah, 16, 17.
16, 17. And you're being strategic about your applications already. What other things are sort of running through your mind? You're trying to decide which school to go to. Which of the UWC colleges to go to? How did you make that decision?
Okay. So I think for me, like I said, right, I had applied twice. The first time I applied, I was absolutely crushed when my family said I couldn't go. I was heartbroken. But I had obviously made alternative plans anyway, so I'd applied to UCT and I'd started applying to UNAM and to Rhodes University. And I remember, so when I went to UWC Changshu, I don't think it was my national committee that selected me, because I had gotten the "you are rejected" email and everything. But there was somebody on the national committee who insisted that he believed I had something to offer and that he genuinely wanted me to go. So he fought tooth and nail and he used all his personal contacts and made sure that I went. So I ended up having a bit of a unique relationship with my school in that I wasn't really there as a national committee, person, but it was more somebody who had put their money where their mouth was and they were like, I need her to be there. So I remember I was interviewed also directly by the school because they needed to hear who's this girl, what's the hype. And I remember I was in a bathroom, I was attending an event, because they just said, we'll just call you, just be ready anytime. So I was attending an event and I got this Skype call, so I had to go to the bathroom and quickly do my interview. And I think that speaks to the rest of my trajectory with UWC. It was always weird and unprecedented and just never quite what I expected it to be, but it was important and I wouldn't have had it any other way. But in terms of going about selecting what I wanted to do, I think when you're in grade 12, when the path is usually conventional and it's laid out for you, it's very difficult to drown out what everyone else is saying and ask yourself, okay, what do you want? Especially, so for me, the biggest argument from, dissuaders and, naysayers or whatever was, you're going to be 18 when you go, when you come back, you'll be 20, everybody will be in second year. Not to be they'll be like, oh, your peers are going to be 1 year ahead. And be ahead of what? Ahead by what timeline? To who? So that was important for me to see for myself is, what do I want? And it was UWC, and I knew exactly why. And I knew how it aligned with my spirit, how it aligned with everything that I wanted for myself. I knew what the end goal was, which was to end up in an excellent institution of higher learning. So that was how I went about it, really. I had to sit down with myself consistently and ask myself, what do I want for myself? And what I needed to do.
Yeah. And that thing about the timelines is obviously a big thing for everyone. It's always, we're trying to all do I'm just, I guess, laughing at how ridiculous it is that, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be in second year. Yeah, but half people, I don't know, that is a weird percentage.
Exactly.
But so many people fail first year anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
And the gag is people transfer, people are unhappy, people whatever. And then it's just do what you need to do.
It's really fine. Life is long.
Yeah.
Kevin, how did you pick?
How did I pick? Honestly, I picked schools based on 17-year-old self, based on location, based on beauty of campus, and based on how well I thought I could easily adapt to the society. So my first choice was actually Atlantic College, what I got into. And I thought the idea of Atlantic College would be great because I love the campus, beautiful. I love the idea to think that I would be, going to the same school that Miss Mutu went to, that Prince Willem, the king of Orange, King Willem now, the head of the head of Orange right now, or Netherlands as they say, went to. It was just a great plan. And also growing up, I grew up in very English schools. I went to a school in Cape Town called Wynberg Boys, which is, I guess, as typical as a boarding school that you get, a British all boys boarding school you can imagine. So I felt very comfortable within the British and Anglophone space. So that was my first choice. And I chose Norway next, second, UWC Nordic as my second option, because I just love the idea of going to school in the snow, to be honest. 17-year-old self,
yeah,
that's just how it is. And then, in my mind, I already decided that I'm going to go to university or go live in the UK for a bit. whether it was through UWC or not through UWC. So in my mind, I thought if I don't make it to UWC, I will also go apply for my undergrad. My dream school was always in London Business School, which is still my dream school. Hopefully I get there for masters or something along those lines. But so I'd always had, that was my plan to move to the UK. And I think the UWC community and the people that selected me were happy that I had a clear vision as to what I wanted to do, irrespective of getting into WC or not. So that helped a lot. A clear vision and knowing exactly what you want to do, irrespective of what happens.
Yeah. Just quickly to add to Gerwil, so I think, yes, it was so important that kind of cultural comfort, where you're most culturally comfortable. I remember wanting to go to UWC Robert Bosch, which is the campus in Germany. And that's just because here I went to Delta and we had to learn German and we're eating bratwursts at every big event. So it's also just something that kind of draws you. So that's also another factor to consider and I think it's important to say how well you're able to adapt social culturally as well.